All right, guys, so just did a video on the leveling kit on the 2019-2020 Ram 1500, how to level it and what parts to use. Went over a bunch of that. One of the questions I get a lot of is the 392 versus 321 versus 355 gear ratio. I'll give you what I know. I've researched it a ton because even on my 2019 when I ordered it, I researched it, watched tons of videos, and try to save you the time. I would say if I was going to keep stock tires and I wasn't looking for the towing or the payload, I'd go with the 321s. They run really good on the factory tires. They shift real well, plenty of power. I mean, even with the 35s, pulling a 75 horse tractor on a heavy duty trailer, I had no problems pulling it with that gear ratio. Of course, it's running in, 6th and 7th and even 5th. But there's plenty of downshifting power. It handled it fine, no real issues. Now, what I will say is I had the 2019 Ram 1500 Hemi, and when I went from the factory tires to the 35s, y'all know these Netto Ridge Grappers weigh about 70 pounds. So if you go to like a Goodyear Durtrack and you're gonna stay in that, 45 to 50 pound range, I still think that 321's a good, even in the 35 inch, I think it's still a good fit. The only thing I would say is, going to the 70 pound tires here, I did notice that I did a lot of shifting between 7th and 8th on the highway. I mean, we live in Texas, speed limits are 75, 80 miles an hour. If I was running 80, 82, it would stay in 8th, no problem. If I was bucking a headwind, anything like that, I would feel it shifting back and forth, anywhere between that 76 and 80. So if I had it to redo again, I would order the Hemi. I would still order the Hemi in a 392 rear end if I was going to go with 35 inch tires and like a Netto Ridge in like an E-ply, that's 70-something pounds. So, that being said, I think the 392s, the acceleration, I've read mileage, I've looked at the Fuelie on the website, everybody that's got this gear ratio and this half ton. And what you have to remember is it's all over the board, right? And so what we know is, you take a crew cab limited or a Longhorn truck and it's 7,100. Depending on how you option that truck, it's going to land somewhere around 5,000 pounds, 5,800 pounds. So you see people getting different mileages, but also you take a limited that's loaded out all the way, you're getting down to 1,300 pounds of payload because it's 7,100, minus 1,300, and that's your truck weight. And so all the adder options that you keep adding to these trucks keep adding the weight to them. So it's a significant amount. I mean, we're talking, I've seen 500 to 600 pounds different in the truck just off of the packages that's ordered. If you're getting a 4-door Bighorn that doesn't have all the features, you get up to like an 1,800 pound payload. And so that truck's a lot lighter. So to compare it to a limited versus a 4-door Bighorn, there's a big difference in the truck weight. You're carrying another, 300, 400, 500 pounds in package features, whether it's Ram boxes or it's the sunroof or it's the 22-inch wheels. I mean, all of those things make a big difference. And so when I researched it and you look at it across the board, you're looking at tons of different weights and tons of different things. So I try to average it and look at it overall. Let's just look at the limiteds. Let's look at the limiteds with 22s, or let's look at just the limiteds with 20s. Just trying to keep it in the same ballpark so I could kind of understand, where it fell. And like I said, the 392s, you get more acceleration. And what I could tell from Fuelie and from the people I talked to and all the reviews I read, it's a mile to a mile and a half gallon difference. And most of that's going to be on the highway. And the reason is in these Hemis, when I had the 321s, before I put the 35s on, if I was running anywhere like, let's say, let me give y'all a rough number. I'm trying to remember, I think around, if I was running 60 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour, below 60, I would be in eco mode. So I'd be running an MDS. I guess you're on the 4 cylinders, it's more efficient, you're getting that better fuel mileage. And so, but anytime you go past that, on the highway, it would, make a difference. And so then you put the 35s on it and then say like that eco mode drops down to, I had to be running below pretty much 50 to get eco mode to come on because it needed the V8 to turn the tires and the weight and, and the wind resistance. So, I think what people have found is the 392s get better mileage in town because you do run in the eco mode with the Hemi more, and you're getting the smoother shifts and all that stuff, or quicker shifts in the 392. So you get a little bit better town mileage, I think, with the 392, but you take a little bit of hit on the highway because you're running that high RPM. So it's kind of a middle, you know. So I test drove an Eco Diesel with the 392, and it was up around 2,200 RPM. That's pretty high, you know, and you're not going to get the prime mileage. And I have a video, if y'all go look at that video, it shows that truck getting somewhere around, I think it was 27, something like that, at 75 miles an hour, pretty consistently, you know, according to the screen. Now that's not checking at the pump. But I would, you know, if I'm not doing the calculations, I'm not doing the math, but I ordered the Eco Diesel with the 392. I want the acceleration. For a mile and a half to the gallon, even if it costs me that, just driving a Hemi and you compare the 392 and the 321, you'll take that 392 all day long. I mean, it's just, it has more power, it feels better, it's just, it's instant power. I can't even explain it, but I think that if you test drove both, you would always take the 392. Now, if you're looking for fuel economy and you're gonna keep factory tires, like I said before, go with the 321, for sure. I mean, it just depends on what you're gonna use it for. So the Eco Diesel, I previously had I think it was a 2015 Eco Diesel, and it had the 355 rear end, which I thought was a pretty good rear end. It was kind of the middle of the line, you know, moving into the diesel. But again, same problems there. If we were in a headwind or if I was running the 35-inch tires, it was downshifting. You know, it was constantly moving back and forth. And of course, most of you know, if you're running a 2015 Eco Diesel or the last generation, it did not have the power that the new one has. And so your acceleration was not that great, even with the 355s. Driving it now with the 392, I mean, ordering the diesel, I wouldn't order anything but the 392. And if you go to Dodge's build site and you try to build one out, it's going to default you to the 392. And it knows that, I think they know that the 355s, you can get it. It's going to get a little better mileage on the highway, but I don't think I would trade the acceleration for it. Plus, in the 392, you're going to have less friction, you're going to have less heat, and you're going to get a higher tow rating. You know, the Hemi e-Torque had the highest tow rating, and so they pretty much, I think you come in 200 or 300 pounds below the Hemi e-Torque with the Eco Diesel. And so I mean, for the 392s, you get a little bit more tow rating. It just, to me, it's a no-brainer. So I went with the 392s. That's what I know, the difference between them. I had a Hemi a long time ago that had 392s. Really liked how it drove. I mean, it was just instant power. I mean, it felt like it would spin the tires at every takeoff if you just hammered into the throttle, you know. So a little bit of difference, but I think it had a 6-speed back in the day with the 392. Now you have the 8-speed, so it makes the 321s more acceptable. So I know that this is a, you know, people can argue the fact of what it is and say, well, you know, I'd take this or take that, or, you know, or in comparison, it's all what you're looking for. You know, if you're getting a big horn that's 400 pounds lighter and you're not going to tow, or if you're getting a limited it's a really heavy truck, you know, you're going to put a little bit oversized tire on it, you know, or heavier tire, mud tire, it's a no-brainer. So not to rattle y'all's head off, don't want to talk too much about it. I know you can drop comments, and I know it'll be, you know, tons of comments about what people think. This is just my opinion, guys. Just throwing it out there. I've driven all the trucks. I've done a bunch of reviews on them. I've pulled with these trucks. I know how they pull. And, you know, even in considering that the last generation Eco Diesel had cooling issues, you know, if you tried to tow more than it was capable of or within that range, you know, going with the 392, you're going to have a lot less of that problem. Your transmission is going to last longer because it's in less of a strain. I mean, all the things just add up. So anyway, appreciate you watching the video. Please hit the like and subscribe down there in the bottom right-hand corner. If there's any questions, like I said, we'll try to get to them. Looking forward to getting this truck. I've got maybe, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks to get it in. And I've got a couple things ordered for it. I've got the backflip MX4 cover. We've got the, I've got the upper control arms, which if you watch my other video, you saw that these are the 2-inch arms that are in the Mopar kit. Of course, we're doing air suspension lift. I've got the Daystar spacers right here. So got those to bring those airbags back down to factory. Got the 3-inch B&W drop hitch. Got the 22x10 fuel assaults. 33 1250 Nitto Ridge grapplers. Revel performance links right here for the front. Revel performance links for the back, which I don't really use them, but here they are. Hypertech speedometer programmer right here to take care of the speedometer. Used it on my last 3 trucks, it's worked really well. And then got the silent hitch pin. Used to get these off of Amazon. They're really great. They've got a lock deal. But you actually put a block and a spring inside your receiver, and then you tighten that thing up with a 9/16 wrench. You put the lock cap on it, no rattle. I've not bought anything but these for the last couple trucks. Been great. Like I said, appreciate you watching. Hit the like and subscribe. Got any questions? Let me know.